I'm Athens Abell, downtown Modesto, with Tim Tejan, who is the president of the Modesto City Firefighters Union. And I'm going to let you say the rest because it's a very big title.
Well, you're correct. I'm the president of the Modesto City Firefighters Association, our local 1289. We are affiliated with the International Association of Firefighters, is our international organization, United States and Canada. And we're also a member of the California Professional Firefighters, which is our state organization here in California.
Now, what do you do as president? What do you do for the union?
Okay. Well, my job as the president is to represent the local in all aspects of the things that we are involved in locally. I represent the local when it comes to politics and interviewing candidates, involved in our nonprofit organizations as far as the things that we do for the community, in the barbecues and all the things, every aspect that the firefighters are involved in. I'm basically the voice of this organization. Now, I have many people who have a large role in making us successful. The folks I mentioned, barbecues. We have a person who's in charge of the barbecue and making sure that the people get where they need to be and the barbecue gets there where it needs to be. I have a PAC director who assists me in my political action, or our political action, and interviewing candidates, scheduling walking to precincts, scheduling all the things that we do with politics, that he's in charge of making that happen. And so it takes a big weight off of my shoulders and the things that I have to do. It allows me to be free to do interviews like this, to educate the public and be that voice for the firefighters.
Now, are you currently a firefighter?
Yes, I have currently, my rank is engineer. I drive a fire engine. I am actually on relief. I'm what we call a relief specialist. And so I am assigned on C shift. And what I do is I basically fill when there's vacation, sick leave, or open vacancies. I fill those across all ranks. So we'll work as a firefighter. I'll work as an engineer driving the fire engine, or I'll work as the captain in charge of the engine. Day to day, depending on where they assign me. So that's what my job is in the Modesto Fire Department.
How many days a week do firefighters work?
We basically have a schedule. It's 2 days on and 4 days off. So I work, for instance, today is Wednesday morning. I lose track of what day it is. But Monday morning I came to work and I worked from 7 o'clock Monday morning, and I got off this morning at 7 o'clock on Wednesday morning. So I worked 48 hours straight at my station. I was assigned as firefighter engine 7 for the last 2 days. And so we responded to all the emergencies in that territory, and we handled the calls for service there. So I'm off now for the next 4 days. I come back on duty on Sunday and Monday, and I'll work for 48 hours straight during that time. I'm still assigned for about a 30-day assignment at Station 7 as the firefighter.
Now, how many hours a week, or how many days a week do you work as the president?
I work as many hours or as many days as needed. And like today, for instance, I've gotten off this morning, and I've had one meeting that lasted a few hours. I've been able to hook up with you and here today and have this interview. Mm-hmm. I will go, and I have couple other meetings I need to go to. I need to go meet with my treasurer. So there's a lot of things that happen that I really had nothing planned other than early this morning today, but several things have come up. Yeah. So I'm basically available at any time to represent the firefighters wherever I need to be. So I have scheduled meetings. We have one meeting a month with our executive board. There's some meetings that are planned that I know are going to happen. There's others that I'll get a phone call that day and I need to go take care of an issue.
Now, we were talking earlier about politics. How involved in politics are the firefighters?
The firefighters are very involved in local politics, and the reason that we are involved like that is we believe there needs to be a voice on the council that represents the employees and understands what it is that the firefighters do. Mm-hmm. We believe that the political action is very important because we need to make sure that the politicians or the elected officials and even the citizens understand the dangers of our jobs. They need to understand how the fire department works, what the fire department does, and the importance of the fire department. My job and the job of the local is to make sure that the rights of the workers are recognized, or, for instance, in disciplinary cases. I represent individuals who, for whatever reason, are being disciplined, and we just make sure that that process is followed and that they are given a fair opportunity to represent themselves, and then the discipline is handed down through the department, and it takes its course. That's part of what I do as the president. The other part of what we do is to make sure that the safety and health of our members is paramount. Is that we lobby and we go out and educate folks about the proper staffing levels. We make sure that we have a proper number of people on the fire engine. Some people think a lot of times that just because we have a fire engine in the station that you're protected. And that's not necessarily the case. If we have one person on a fire engine in a station, or even two, you don't have the proper people on scene of an emergency to take care of the citizens. So it's our job to make sure that the citizens know what that level is, and it's my job to protect my members so that they go home at the end of the day, and that we have enough people on a fire engine that we can have a proper firefighting force on scene, and that we're able to take care of the emergency in such a way that we don't cost the life of a citizen or of a firefighter.
I guess I should say, why is it important that you work with the city? Do they work hand in hand with those safety issues?
They do. For some of those issues, they do. There are others that sometimes get glossed over. I mean, I'll give you an example. When it comes to workers' compensation issues, for the longest time, when a firefighter or a police officer in the fields that we work in had come in contact with somebody who had hepatitis C, or they had a disease such as the blood-borne disease. Well, we often contact people who have been injured, that are bleeding, that we may come in contact with that bodily fluid. Mm-hmm. And so for the longest time, as a firefighter, you would have to prove the incident and where you came in contact with hepatitis C or any HIV, any of these blood-borne illnesses. And the fact is that with the HIPAA laws and the things that protect patients' rights, mm-hmm. you don't always have the opportunity to know whether a patient actually had hepatitis. Right. And that's their right to protect that information. So what has happened is that through the work of the locals and the International Association of Firefighters, the California Professional Firefighters specifically, we've passed a state law that is called a presumptive law that allows us as firefighters that it is presumed that if I contract hepatitis C, that it is through my line of work that I have contracted that illness. And then I am covered through workers' compensation, that they take care of the illness and they give me the medical treatment and the things that I need to take care of it. And so it's things like that we watch out for, that not necessarily the elected officials wouldn't have necessarily put that in there mm-hmm. of their own accord. It takes us educating those folks about why it's important to have that happen. And so that's why it's important that we are involved in politics. We get the messages out there about what the things are that are harming firefighters, that are cutting short our lifespan, the cancers, all those different things that we are experiencing. We need to have that message out there so the politicians know when they make the laws and when they make those decisions that they consider that.
What is the deciding factor in choosing a candidate for endorsing?
Well, I think that a lot of times what we'll do is we will have, depending on if we've had a relationship with that candidate before, a lot of times if we've already had a relationship with that candidate, we will continue to support the candidate. And the only thing we ever ask of folks that come in looking for our endorsement mm-hmm. is that we ask two things. And that's that you make 2 phone calls when an issue comes up. When there's an issue before the council that has to do with the fire department, we ask that you contact the fire chief. And we ask them to have him explain to you the issue. We ask that you contact the president of the local, in this case myself, and that you ask about the issue that's at hand mm-hmm. and educate yourself about how it is from our perspective. Mm-hmm. We've been told, and it's been said before, that the people that are closest to the problem have the best solutions. And so it's important that the folks like us who ride on the fire engine and we're there where the service is being delivered, that the elected officials consult with us and say, what is this problem from your perspective? How can we solve this problem? And that information is disseminated or processed by them calling us. And if they don't ever, contact the firefighters or look for some input, a lot of times you make a decision that's really uninformed on how that is affecting the service levels. So the only thing we ever ask of candidates is that you do that, is you have an open door that allows us to express our position on the issue at hand, and then you make an informed decision based off of that. That's all we ever ask. And so that process is they come in for an interview. We talk to those candidates. We have some questions that we'll ask them about themselves and really try to get to know them. Mm-hmm. And then we will come together as an executive board, and the PAC committee has some members and executive board members who sit on that interview panel. We'll discuss what we've learned. We'll discuss what is important to us and how those candidates match up with that. Okay. And then we will notify them. Actually, we'll go to our general membership meeting first, and we'll let the entire body vote on that endorsement. And we will make a recommendation as an executive board or political action committee to the membership that we recommend that you support this candidate. And they will either affirm or decline that recommendation. And for the most part, they will affirm that recommendation, and we will go forward and support that candidate. Now, what does that mean? That means that we'll go out and walk precincts for that candidate. We will contribute money to his campaign. We will man phone banks. We will barbecue. We will do anything that we need to do to make sure that the citizens understand where that candidate's coming from and what the good qualities are that candidate brings to the table.
You were talking about support. Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. Just keep it rolling. Yeah. Slower. Okay. You were talking about, let me see what time it is. Okay, we got like 3 more minutes. Okay. You were talking about support. How can the general public support the firefighters?
I think the way that they can support the firefighters is to be aware of the issues that affect us, the safety, how they understand how the process works, get involved in the community, understand how the service is delivered. If you have a question about how this works, contact the Modesto firefighters. Our phone number's in the phone book. You can contact us anytime. You can ask questions. Call the local fire department. Talk to the fire chief. They will explain to you how the system works. If you have questions or concern, come to us. And we want to make sure that the citizens understand why it's important that we're in the places that we're in and where we're located in the community.
And again, your name, rank, and telephone number?
Okay. My name is Tim Tejan. I'm the president of the Modesto City Firefighters, Local 1289. We can be contacted, and you can contact me at area code 209-484-1030, and that's my personal cell phone number. You can contact me at any time with questions or concerns that you have about the firefighters, and I'd be more than happy to sit down and have a conversation with them about that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that was very good. I'm Athens Abell on Fire Watch today. We are here in downtown Modesto at Station 1 with Matt and Kieran, and they're going to tell us a little bit about the fire station here. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on the air and telling us about the fire station and the fire trucks and what it is that you guys do.
Well, thank you.
What is it that you do?
Well, we provide safety services for the city of Modesto, not only just in emergency situations, but in public assistance in various areas from swift water rescue to hazardous materials response to structure fires and EMS calls.
You know, that's interesting. You mentioned hazardous responses. I think of fire as being, a structure fire or, something like that, or an emergency response. Like you guys are sometimes the first on the scene even before ambulance and that sort of thing,
yes,
aren't you?
Yes, and that's how we're set up throughout the city. We have 12 fire stations set up strategically so we can have a response within 6 minutes, and usually we do beat the ambulance most of the time.
That's great.
So we're able to get the early intervention on scene and provide the quickest amount of care as possible.
Now, because you're a city fire department, do you also service the highway, like if there's an accident on 99?
We do. We have an automatic aid agreement with CHP and the Sheriff's Department in regards to responding to accidents on Highway 99. And so we're automatically dispatched to those as well. With
How many calls
CHP.
does this station get?
Well, this is one of our busiest stations. I think we're running about a little over 3,000 calls a year on the engine company. This is a double house. We have a truck company that's usually on the other side, and they run about 1,000 calls a year combined with the 3,000 that this engine runs. It's somewhere around those stats.
That's a lot of calls.
It is. It's very busy.
How much does that average per day?
Geez, I think we're probably 10 to 12, I believe.
Wow, we better hurry up and finish the interview.
Yeah.
You may get a call.
They come all day long. Yep.
Tell me
very
a little
consistent.
Tell me a little bit about the engine. What kind of truck is it? I mean, is it like? It looks like it weighs about 10 tons.
Yeah, well, they weigh about 38,000 pounds. There's 3 of us assigned to it. We have a firefighter, an engineer, and a captain. And we basically, this is a fire engine. There's fire trucks and fire engines. The fire engine carries the hose and the water, and it has a pump. And this is the one that hooks up into the fire hydrant and does the initial attack on the fire. The trucks are the ones with the ladders. They don't carry water, and they don't have a pump, and they don't usually have hose. They just usually have ladders, and their specialty is ventilation and vehicle extrication and forcible entry and rescue and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Where we do basically the fire attack.
Okay.
And provide medical services. The truck company provides medical services as well.
Now, you were saying that there's 3 people on the truck.
Mm-hmm.
What person are you?
I'm sorry. This is on the engine. We have 3 people. Yeah, that's okay. It's a common mistake.
Okay. So
right.
You normally have 3 people on the engine.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
You got it.
What is the difference between the engine and the truck? Is that the ladder thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, this has the pump and the water and the hose for the fire attack, and the truck has the ladders for going to the roof, performing rescues, also especially things like vehicle extrication, forcible entry, and stuff like that.
Forcible entry meaning like a mangled car?
No, that's vehicle extrication. That's the jaws of life.
Okay.
And then forcible entry would be either to force entry into a home or a business where we need to gain access to a fire or to a victim or somebody who's been trapped. Yeah.
So on the engine, there are 3 people.
Yes.
And who are you on the engine?
Today, I'm actually what we call as a relief specialist. Mm-hmm. So I work as the company officer, but I can work as the engineer who drives, or I can work as the firefighter. You met Kieran, he's the firefighter. He's the grunt on the crew. He's the one who pulls the hose, and we basically all work as a team. The driver is the engineer, and he gets us to the call safely, and he pumps the fire engine, which provides the water to Kieran when he's fighting the fire. And so my job is to oversee, make sure we get there safely, make sure we're going to the right place, and to also work as a team with these guys.
Is it pretty high stress?
It can be, depending on the situation and the scenario. You know, we're trained. We get a lot of training, and it prepares us for a lot of things. But you can't be prepared for every situation that comes around.
It almost seems like you're a doctor or an EMT or, first responder. Is that what you're
we're
called?
EMTs, actually, emergency medical technicians. Everybody in the fire department is, and that's the first level. You have a first responder, and then you have an EMT.
Okay.
So we can provide, we can stop bleeding, and we can defibrillate and give CPR.
Okay,
and,
so you have the paddles and everything. Huh?
Well, we do, but we're not able to push the medications in regards to sustain a heartbeat or anything in that aspect. And we do have 2 fire paramedic companies, and the paramedics are the next chain in the EMS service.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have our Fire Station 2 and our Fire Station 9, which are paramedics, and they provide ALS, Advanced Life Support, and we provide BLS, which is Basic Life Support, as EMTs.
Okay. So if I'm going into, this is kind of off the record, if I'm going into some kind of cardiac arrest or something like that, then the first responders can handle it, the EMTs can handle it, and the paramedics can handle it, but only the paramedics can push medication, is that
exactly,
right?
to sustain, in some situations, depends on what kind of a cardiac arrest it is, but some situations actually medication can help sustain the heartbeat until they can go to the hospital. And so we will provide CPR, which keeps oxygenated blood and keeps the brain surviving until they can push the medications, and then until they can get to the hospital.
Okay, so you guys really are the first ones on the scene.
Absolutely. And the earlier the intervention, the better opportunity the individual has for sustaining life, and being healthy getting back to what they were doing before they called
Before
us.
they called you.
Yes, absolutely. So,
Well, thank you. I'm going to talk
bet.
to Kieran for, wait a second.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kieran.
Okay. Kieran, what is it that you do here?
I'm a firefighter here at the fire department. Basically, do all the basic functions of the work on the crew, from doing the basic assessment of patients, providing any care that we provide on scene, pulling hose on structure fires, kind of doing the nuts and bolts work of the everyday.
I heard the word grunt earlier.
Yeah, that sums it up. We do a lot of the physical labor and a lot of the hands-on work of the crew.
Tell me a little bit about what it took to become a fireman.
There's a lot of training, education, apply for the process, and then there's a testing process that you do a written test, oral examination, physical fitness test.
I see a tower over at Blue Gum and Carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to run up and down that thing?
Yeah, we do the physical ability testing there, and that's also the location of the fire academy, so you do a lot of training out there.
Yeah. So are you a first responder, an EMT?
I'm an EMT.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How long did you have to go to school for that?
I believe an EMT is a 6-month course.
Pretty intensive?
Yeah, it is. It's intensive, but really I think you gain a lot of valuable experience in the field, and helps mold your care long past your initial training. And we receive a lot of continuing training.
Oh, ongoing,
Mm-hmm.
probably, yeah.
Yes, yeah. And we have to recertify every 2 years. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm Athens Abell, on watch, downtown Modesto at Fire Station 1. Thank you.
okay. All right, well, one of the questions came up during our interview today in regards to our exhaust system. This exhaust system has been in our fire stations for a few years now. What was being found out with multiple studies is a lot of firefighters were getting cancer from different carcinogens that were being produced by the exhaust in the fire stations. As we come out of here, we're usually on the throttle pretty good, and some of the exhaust blows all over the fire station and all over some of the clothing. And we were finding out that particulates were causing us to get sick throughout a 30-year career. And what happens is fire stations weren't built, the places where we sleep were actually attached to the apparatus bays. So a lot of this exhaust were going into the areas where we were sleeping and living. So what they developed and retrofitted is most of the fire stations in the state of California were required to have some sort of exhaust system to help prevent the risk of carbon monoxide particulates that could cause cancer. And so most fire stations you'll find in the state of California are retrofitted with some sort of an exhaust system is put there for our safety. Moving on to the rest of the fire engine though, if we come up to the front here, this is where the company officer sits. And what we have up in here is our technology has increased over the last several years, but we have what we call as a computer-aided dispatch. And that terminal there is new to our fire department. We've had some older models, but we received a grant and we're able to purchase some new models. That aids us with finding different addresses and helping us locate different streets, and also information regarding the addresses that we're responding to. And that's what happens up in this part of the cab. As we move back on the fire engine, we have this area here that the firefighter sits. And this is some of the equipment that he utilizes during his shift. We have SCBA's, self-contained breathing apparatus, that are incorporated in the seats. It helps us put them on quicker as we're responding to an incident with our gear that we store. This area here is this is our large diameter intake for supply. It's a 5-inch supply that comes from the fire hydrant that goes into the fire engine. That helps deliver water to the fire hose for the fire attack. And moving on, I'll just open some compartments here, and we can kind of just talk about, some of the equipment. We have some wildland hose for grass fire operations. We have some ropes. We have various tools. We tend to be kind of the jack of all trades, master of none in our operations. This is our medical compartment. This is set up. We have a defibrillator for cardiac arrest. We carry oxygen, multiple gauzes and Band-Aids, and various equipment to help with our medical needs while providing medical services. Some more tools for our trade. We have axes, fire axes, and pike poles, and different equipment we utilize in either finding the fire or getting into the building. Everything that we carry on the fire engine helps assist us with our job, and the more tools that we can put on a fire engine, the better off we are. We have our hose load complement. This has been an evolving process throughout the years. We've had a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into this hose complement to make it as efficient as possible. And I think we're to a pretty good point now where we can get our hose lines in place very quickly and efficiently on scene. This is our 5-inch hose, which comes from the fire hydrant, which provides the water to the fire engine. And these are generally our fire attack lines, which are 1 3/4 hose lines. Okay, another equipment on the fire, or another compartment on the fire engine. We contain our swiftwater rescue equipment. This is where we would utilize on the Tuolumne River or in canals that we have throughout the town. We have a fireboat at the fire station that this engine would respond with that fireboat and the truck company to help maybe look for somebody who is in the river or needs assistance. We have fire extinguishers and fans, and just more tools to help us do our job. It's our salvage compartment. We have salvage tarps. We try to prevent damage on public property as much as we can with a fire. So we'll cover some of their couches and personal belongings and try to collect their pictures and put them underneath these salvage tarps. We have shovels and lights. We have a cooler for water, extension cords. This compartment is our engineer's compartment. Has all the connections in regards to hooking up hoses and all the wrenches and tools that he needs to do his job in order to get water to us at the end of the nozzle or at the end of the hose. Here's our pump panel. This is what the engineer or the driver operates. This is what he utilizes all these valves in regards to get water out of the different multiple discharges that we have on the fire engine. This fire engine has foam capability. Foam helps us, it's like soap at your kitchen sink. It breaks down the surface tension of the water and helps it penetrate into different materials that we apply the foam to. It's a good tool for us. And then if we just come around here, this is another door to get into the back compartment. Okay, and what we have here is the engineer's seat or the driver's seat. And up there he has all the controls, basically what it takes to drive the apparatus safely throughout the streets of Modesto. We have our fire engines, our Pierce fire engines. They're about the Cadillacs of the industry. We always try to keep them up to date and keep them in service, and everybody takes care of them real well. It's important that they're ready to go at a moment's notice.
Buckle up, because Matt and Kieran are going to take us for a tour.
Welcome to Modesto Fire Station 1.